All right, so this is the second installment I've got here of these Chapter 1 read and reacts that I'm doing on Royal Road, and I've actually brought on Akaso. And the funny thing is, we're recording this before my reaction to Akaso's first chapter, so he has no idea what I thought of his first chapter, except he's taking a few fair guesses. Then I brought him on for my next victim, volunteer. This was a volunteer. I just went into the Royal Road Discord server and saw who was interested because, I don't want to read someone's story aloud on YouTube without their permission. Today, we have a story called Harebringer, which obviously must have been a pun about Harbinger. Right? That 100% that has to be an intended pun.
That's the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah. Simple cover art. Cover only makes sense because I've already read the little opening blurb here. It's hard to be a tank when you're the most fragile around. In my hour of greatest need, she appeared, a savior from the shadows, cloaked in furry softness, with eyes like rubies and a voice like a siren's song. You promised me great things, whispered secrets to my soul, and ignited a flame that burned brighter than any star. I believed in her, I trusted her, and I followed her into the darkness, into the unknown, with blind faith and naivety. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. Little did I realize what my actions would unleash, what an insanity I have agreed to. Participating in the Royal Road Write-a-thon. And that's something I want to highlight is Royal Road does do biannual write-a-thons, or is it 3 per year? There's at least 2.
I think it's 2. I'm not sure because I don't participate.
I did it once with my Cyborg action story, which I had a blast writing it. But the problem is so many people are competing in write-a-thon that unless you really, really stand out, you can't get on the front page because so many people are uploading daily chapters for the contest. And that's the primary.
It's to the point where, if you go and read guides on Royal Road, one of the points that almost every guide has is don't start posting your story during write-a-thon.
Right. So yeah, even though I liked my Cyborg action story, it got completely drowned out and ignored. It has great reviews, the people that did find it, but it just kind of suffered. But hey, maybe this is another case of a great story that's just trying to get followers and views. It's at 152 right now. So let's dive into the intro. Although I do think that the blurb here is kind of the definition of purple prose. There is so little conveyed in one of the most critical parts of getting people into a story.
The blurb isn't necessarily how it should be, but that's because Royal Road readers have zero attention span and nobody gives a shit about a long blurb. I've read much worse on actual published books.
There is sensitive content, which in the future is actually going to screw over a lot of authors on Royal Road, apparently, because to comply with Google's terms of service, don't you just love Silicon Valley censorship? You can't show someone sensitive content unless they are logged in to an account.
Actually, I'm gonna counter that because it says sensitive content, not sexual content. Sensitive content is not the stuff that gets hidden on the app. I have.
Okay, so I was explicitly warned that there is sexual content, or maybe that was the other one that got volunteered. One of them, they were explicitly like, there is sexual content that violates YouTube's TOS, but it's not in Chapter 1.
It could be incorrectly tagged.
Maybe.
But the only tag that has you partially hidden behind the 18 plus content toggle on the app is sexual content. So everything else shows up normally.
Right, but it didn't used to be like that. I'm just hoping that I start getting more people on my story, not as the app starts rolling out, or rather as the app starts getting adopted. But anyways, let's jump into the intro.
Yeah.
Do you think it's bad to have prologues in a web novel format? You did one. I do prologue. I do forewords.
It's arbitrary. It's arbitrary. If it's not called a prologue, it'll be called chapter 1. It's
okay. So good news. There's no blue boxes. Could you imagine trying to narrate the content of a blue box?
I've done it.
Ugh.
It's honestly easier. It's easier to write for me, and it's easier to
Well, sure, in
make
written
it fit.
form, it's data presentation, and that's fine, but trying to read it aloud for an audience to follow with. Anyways.
Yeah, no, and that's kind of a problem for like audiobook adaptations.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, the harsh smell of blood assaults my nostrils. All right, it's present tense, first person. Love it. Not really, even though I do it. Forcing me out of the soothing embrace of nothingness. My mind tries to swim towards lucidity, but an ear-splitting ringing rattles inside my skull, threatening to tear apart what little cohesion of thought I have managed to gather. Pain pulses in my side where some blunt object has struck my body. The rain falling upon me seems like hundreds of tiny daggers, poking and cutting at my skin. With each breath, it feels as if a hot knife twists its way through my core, spreading agony through my body. It takes all I have to not scream in pain, though I'm not sure if I am even capable of such a feat in this state. After much effort, I finally crack my eyes open, allowing a blurry vision of the world around me to come into view. Blinking slowly, I try desperately to focus on any one thing in order to bring clarity to the scene before me. However, there are too many sensations coming all at once. Too much movement, someone or something stands above me. It's hard to make out who or what they may be through the haze. There are voices, but the words are unclear, garbled. Is someone speaking? I can't tell. The figure above me reaches forward with what looks like an arm, causing me to flinch. I try to scramble away from them, but find myself unable to move, my limbs unresponsive and numb. My mouth opens to plead for mercy, but no sound comes out, just air. I squeeze my eyes shut, hoping that when I reopen them, this nightmare will disappear. But alas, I'm not in luck. This is real. It's actually happening. A sharp pain suddenly erupts from my chest and radiates through my entire body, causing me to cry out in pain. So this is how I die, alone, scared, helpless, in agony. Tears flow freely from my eyes as despair fights the pain for control over my body. I'm going to die here, in a puddle of mud where no one will ever know what happened to me. Except the people killing him? I'm never going home, never seeing my mother or father again, never getting the chance to apologize for being such a selfish idiot. Why couldn't I have listened to them? Wow, this is so much worse than I heard from you, a voice says in front of me. Good thing I made it in time. Huh? I can hear? Does that mean this is it? Have I reached the hunting plains of our god? Did I please him enough to gain entry into paradise after passing the trial by fire? Dude, I'm like a page into this. I genuinely don't understand a single thing about the character except that they're injured.
From what I've... Yeah, no, this is basically painting... this is all painting the situation.
This is too deep to have not given a promise. This is actually just agony porn. I
wouldn't call it agony porn. This doesn't quite...
Oh, you've read worse?
To the point.
Maybe.
I've read so much worse. This is still...
There's competency in the prose, but it just hasn't gotten to a point that makes me care.
This is like fairly tame as far as like Dire Straits setup goes.
I open my eyes again to find an angel staring down at me with ruby red eyes framed by pure white bangs and an expression full of concern. Her delicate white fur glows silver in the moonlight. How do you have bangs and fur? While two fluffy rabbit-like ears poke up from within her silky hair, the scent of sweet berries wafts towards me as she leans closer. Wait, pristine white...
How does a horse have hair and fur? Same thing.
Okay, fair point. Wait, pristine white fur, crimson red eyes, two long bunny ears? Cannot even death free me of that accursed beast? Has everything just been another twisted game? Another cruel trick on my soul, playing out right until my final moments? Am I now going to spend eternity haunted by this nightmare, never having escaped from its clutches? This man likes his interrobangs. Anyways. A close lightning bolt lights the dark sky, and the thunder that follows snaps me back to reality. Raindrops continue to pelt against my body, but everything hurts less somehow, less than it did moments ago anyway. In fact, the pain seems to have subsided almost entirely. Once again I try to move, but still fail miserably at even lifting my head off the mud. There is also this odd warmth emanating from somewhere inside me, no, everywhere inside me, permeating every corner of my mind and spirit, bringing peace and comfort in its wake. Is this the final stage of death? The sweet embrace of eternal rest? Shut up, I know what I'm doing, the woman scowls and yells at the air in front of her before she looks down at me again. Please wait a moment longer. I know it's uncomfortable right now, but the anesthesia should wear off soon. The bunny creature whispers reassuringly, reaching toward my chest with one hand. She pulls out a long, red-stained needle from my rib cage. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? The worst is over. Not how first aid works. A gentle smile appears across her face as she strokes my forehead, her fluffy fingertips brushing aside damp locks of hair clinging to my skin. There's just...
Magic.
Just so anyone who doesn't know this is aware, generally speaking, if you get impaled by something, you leave it in you until the doctor is ready to stitch you up because it's blocking the bleeding. The pain comes after, usually. There's just one more hurdle in front of you, but it is nothing compared to what came before. A sparkle dances about within those beautiful scarlet irises of hers while she stares down at me, leaving me awestruck by the radiance. Is she an angel sent by my lord, after all? One more hurdle. What else could there be? Another needle? Maybe a blade. Whatever it is, I hope this ends quickly so I can finally rest for eternity. I'd rather not linger around in limbo between life and death for long. That sounds terribly boring. A tone shift, in my opinion. I guess it beats staying trapped forever in a labyrinth of lies created by a mischievous rabbit monster. But wait, what is this? I can feel my fingers. They moved, and my toes too, my limbs. I wiggle my digits, feeling the sensation return to them as a cool wave floods through me, reminding my senses that they exist. A delicate tingling travels across my skin, prickling it lightly, until at last my muscles respond to the command sent from my brain. Ah, the glorious sensation of control returning to my body. This is heavenly. Even the tingling in my feet is pleasurable. No, wait, retract that statement. This is not paradise. This is the very depths of hell itself, as if someone replaced my skin with one made of raging ants who bite me with my tiny teeth, made of fire. Every inch of me stings and burns and aches as nerves come alive once again. I didn't even know some of those places could itch this badly. My heart races and beats loudly inside my ears, each pump sending fresh waves of pain shooting throughout my torso. Come on, Alice, don't be such a baby. It's just an itch, the woman giggles. Using giggles as a dialogue tag. That is one of the dialogue tags people try to use, but it actually makes no sense. I'm not the kind of guy that says, oh, you must use said for everything, but I don't recommend giggles. Yeah, definitely.
That reminds me of fucking... I remember this one post where it was showing some really weird dialogue tags in Harry Potter. I think something like Snape ejaculated.
Oh, don't forget that Harry Potter was written by a Brit.
True.
Dude, the weirdest thing is I like to use growled. And I've had people say, you can't, what, was he growling or was he talking? And it's just like, have you never heard someone talking like this? That's growling. I've had people complain about that, like as if they lack as if they've never heard someone talk like that in person.
I mean, of course, the main character is called Alice. Of course.
Yeah, we've finally gotten around to the point that this seems to be an Alice in Wonderland thing.
I wouldn't bet on it being literally an Alice in Wonderland thing.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, definitely a devil in disguise, that one. Or maybe all rabbits are devils. At least the ones with crimson eyes. Do not trust them, they are evil. All of them evil. I writhe in the mud, whimpering like some wounded animal caught in a trap for what feels like ages as the sensation returns to the entirety of my being. Gradually, however, the discomfort recedes till I am left... Wrong till. I am left panting in relief, exhausted by the entire ordeal. The warmth of my rescuer's hand brings me some solace, her gentle touch soothing away the sting of my recovery. There we go, she coos, running her fingers along my skin, massaging the remaining soreness away with a skilled touch. It's all right now. Everything will be okay. Don't worry. Slowly but surely, strength returns to my limbs. Muscles respond better to the messages. The signals come in crisper and clearer. My breathing stabilizes as the heart, calms down from its frantic pace, beating steadily against my ribs. I flex my toes experimentally and sigh inwardly in satisfaction at the slight movement. It's difficult at first, but eventually I push myself up from the muddy ground and sit upright. My armor has been stripped from me, exposing most of my upper body to the elements. A large, dark bruise discolors the area over my lower abdomen and chest where the masked man had kicked me. I am covered in cuts and scrapes, but hey, I'm alive, aren't I? Small victories. That's right, I am alive. Realization strikes me with such force that tears start pouring uncontrollably from my eyes. Never again will I take this precious gift of life for granted. Thank you so much, I rasp out before breaking down into a sobbing fit of hiccuping cries and sniffles, clutching desperately to the rabbit woman. Little manic with the opinion, with the attitudes about this woman, aren't they? Oh, she's an angel, she's a devil, she's my savior, I hate her, she's causing pain, she's a smug bitch.
I mean, to be fair, the character was, like, very close to death.
Maybe.
So.
She holds me close and rubs
yeah,
them.
there's something here that I can't really put into words yet.
That's because there isn't enough coherency for the reader to get in on. You don't know anything about the character. You haven't.
No, I don't mean like narratively. I mean like in terms of the feeling of the writing in general and the pacing. There's something here, but I can't really.
It's because the descriptive prose has a very consistent. I don't want to call it try hard, but I'm failing to think of the synonym that isn't pejorative. But the descriptive prose is very try hard. And consistently so, and then it will break into unlabeled thoughts that are just jumping around in tone randomly. Or at least that's what I'm noticing.
That's not it for me.
Well, if you figure it out,
something about it's something to do with the rabbit woman. I don't know. Let's keep going. I'll figure it out.
All right, everything is okay, let it all out, you're safe now, it's all over, just breathe and relax. I take deep breaths as I bury my face into her soft fur, inhaling the soothing scent of berries and sunshine. The warmth despite the rain. The warmth emanating from her body penetrates my skin, comforting me with its heat, and only now do I realize just how cold it really is, how long I've spent without proper shelter. My body shudders and goosebumps appear on my bare arms. I haven't been warm for so long. Here, my savior murmurs, pulling away and reaching towards a bundle lying in the grass beside her. From it, she produces a large blanket and wraps it around my shoulders, tucking the edges tight into place, cocooning me in warmth. We still need to get out of the rain. Do you think you can walk? I test my legs, finding them a bit shaky, but give the woman an affirmative nod nonetheless. Getting on all fours, I climb to my feet, taking her outstretched hand to steady myself. She's so small, I tower over her tiny frame by almost 3 heads, yet the confidence with which she moves suggests she isn't intimidated by me in the slightest. Quite the opposite. The way she carries herself screams power and superiority. However, there seems to be something else hidden beneath the surface, something vulnerable, something that reminds me of my own weaknesses, my fragility. Looking around, I finally learned what happened to my pursuers, and the sight brings bile up my throat, forcing me to cover my mouth and suppress a gag reflex. If not for the relatively undamaged masks lying there, I wouldn't even recognize their remains as corpses. What used to be them litters the mud, corroded and melted into sludge. Puddles of crimson mixed with the vibrant green of some sort of corrosive acid, bulging and burbling in an unnerving fashion. I almost hurl as the contents of my stomach threaten to force their way up from within. Don't look there if you value your sanity, Alice, the bunny woman states flatly. Just keep your eyes forward and follow me closely, got it? She takes a few steps forward, but then pauses and turns back to face me. Actually, do you know any place around where we could take shelter? She asks rather sheepishly, averting her gaze. I, kinda got lost. My jaw hangs open as I stare at her dumbfounded. You saved me, but have no clue where you were going? Yep, she grins. That is correct. Now, any ideas where we should head? Well, that's one way to shift the agency back to the main character. Which is important. The main character probably should be the one taking action in the first chapter. Well, shit! I might find my way home during the day, but now? Think, Alice, think. Did you pass any caves or cliffs on your way here? I can't remember. I had bigger problems back then, like not getting caught and killed. Well, at least the latter worked out. Nope, absolutely none, I answer, matching her grin. Let's see what comes along. If we find shelter before dawn, great, and if not, then we freeze and die. At least I got some experience in that. I don't like those odds, the rabbit says, tapping her chin in thought. Shut up, shut up, shut up. I don't care what you did, she shouts at the air again. Ah, yes, nothing out there to calm my nerves, like my savior yelling at thin air. Love it, absolutely adore it. Totally going to sleep tonight. Are all rabbits mentally unstable, or is it just my luck to find the crazy ones? I sigh and pinch the bridge of my nose, fighting back the growing headache throbbing in my skull. My limbs feel heavier by the second as exhaustion settles deep within my bones, weighing me down like lead. It takes everything I have not to collapse, and even the blanket does little to help in that regard. Damn, am I tired. Follow me, I found something that might work, the rabbit declares, proudly after a minute of contemplation, grabbing my hand and leading me off through the undergrowth. She strides with purpose, picking her footing carefully as she guides me through the dense foliage. My legs shake underneath me as I walk, my knees buckling every few steps, but with some effort and help from her I keep going. As we proceed further from where I nearly died, my body slowly regains its ability to function, and before long I can move on my own once again, though admittedly my pace remains rather sluggish. Finally, we arrive at a small cave hidden amongst thick foliage and bushes, its entrance obscured by vines and brambles. She pushes through them easily and disappears inside, motioning for me to follow suit. Come on, Alice, follow the clearly crazy rabbit lady into a dark hole. Yeah, that is a perfectly normal and sane course of action, no doubt about it, but I have no other option. It is this or freeze outside. I hope it is at least dry outside. With another sigh, I take hold of the vines and pull myself through the opening, stepping into the darkness beyond. The cave is surprisingly spacious, at least 5 meters high at its tallest point and twice as wide, extending quite a ways back. A small amount of light filters in from the sky, illuminating the interior with a faint glow. A layer of soft moss covers the ground, providing some cushioning underfoot, while stalactites hang from the ceiling like icicles, dripping water onto the stone below. This'll do nicely, the rabbit woman muses, gazing about approvingly. Okay, let's make camp here. We can use those branches as fuel. She gestures to several fallen logs scattered about near the entrance, piled atop one another haphazardly. I'll gather wood while you prepare the fire. Without waiting for a response, she bounces away happily, disappearing into the night. Jesus. While she goes about collecting tinder, I set about building a suitable pyre for the coming blaze. Thankfully, the cave contains plenty of loose stones strewn about, making quick work of gathering together the rocks to form a crude ring. Taking a stick in my hand, I arrange kindling within the circle, placing the smaller sticks onto the larger logs, creating a neat little stack with the center of the circle. The rabbit woman returns shortly after, dumping an armful of wet branches next to the fire pit before rushing back to collect more. I look doubtfully at the moist timber. It'll burn, but it'll take forever to catch and be as smoky as heck. For all the swearing that's been in this chapter so far, why would they say heck instead of hell? Now, where is my flint? Ah, crap, I didn't take it with me. It was supposed to be just a simple hunt, so no reason to equip for a prolonged trek. Excuse me.
That's why.
What?
Because it's more whimsical, that's why.
Then the other swears should have been filtered, in my opinion.
There's a system, by the way.
Sorry?
There's a system.
Are you clicking around on your own? I think I did see it labeled as lit RPG.
I'm just kind of skimming through the next chapters to see to see how it comes along.
All right, well, we're almost at the end here. Excuse me, do you have a flint? I call out after the rabbit, hoping she won't be too upset at the inconvenience. No, sorry, she replies, reappearing at my side once again. Can't you just magic it up? Your class has flame weaving, right? I forgot about that one, thank you. Concentrating on my core, I visualize flames roaring forth, taking form in my outstretched palm. That's a janky way to establish magic. That's not satisfying. Oh, I forgot I have this spell. Sure enough, a flickering wisp ignites, hovering above my skin. It grows steadily brighter as I focus on its existence, feeding energy into it until, at last, a blazing ball of fire the size of my nail floats above my hand. With a flick of my wrist, I send it hurtling toward the pile of branches, where it lands on top and bursts into brilliant orange blossoms of light and heat. I stand still for a moment, mesmerized by the flames dancing wildly across the logs. They crackle merrily and pop occasionally as sap bubbles out of the cracks on their surfaces. Smoke wafts up from beneath the pile of timber, filling the air with the smell of burning pine resin mixed with wood smoke. Heat radiating off the blaze warms my skin, bringing comfort to my tired body and mind alike. I turn to my companion to find her sitting down with her feet tucked under herself. In the flickering light of the fire, her features finally become clear to me. Her short stature, big fluffy ears, silky white hair, beautiful red eyes, and a cute button nose. It all paints an image of a tiny, fluffy creature, an innocent, delicate little thing that I want to hug, to sleep every night, and protect from the dangers of this world. The outfit she wears tells a completely different story, though. Studded leather armor covers her petite body from shoulders to calves, her joints additionally protected by metal plates. A dagger hangs from her waist belt, sheathed in a black leather scabbard, complete with straps that secure it to her leg. There's no doubt that she has experience in wielding that weapon, judging by the way she carries herself. I thought her to be much older than me. That impression comes entirely from the confidence and poise with which she holds herself. Upon closer inspection, I find she is much younger than I first assumed, probably somewhere around my age, late teens to early 20s at the oldest. And yet she has somehow become this proficient at survival and combat, saved me from becoming a victim of fanatics, healed me, and guided me to safety. Meanwhile, even with that unique class of mine, wait, no, that's right, my class. How did you know about my class? I cry out, shocked by this revelation. I've just awakened to it today. Nobody but me and my brother should know any details about it. Calm down, Alice, the bunny girl sighs as she rolls her eyes at my panicked reaction. And how the hell do you know my name while we're at that? I continue screaming, pointing an accusatory finger in her direction. Who are you, even? Finally getting somewhere. Fine, if that's what you want, the rabbit replies nonchalantly, waving her hand dismissively. Then I will grant your wish, Alice. You may call me Lucienne, or Lucy, for short, if you like. She stands up and gives an exasperated look before continuing. Do you believe in destiny, Alice? Sudden question catches me off guard, leaving me momentarily speechless. What, did I miss something? Was there any point to where this conversation could lead to that question? Does this have something to do with my class? Well, no, not really. Not as such, anyway. Lucienne takes a step towards me, and I can't help but involuntarily back away a bit. She's small but intimidating in some strange way, as if something powerful lurks just beneath the surface, ready to break out at any time. Quite unexpected answer from someone like yourself. Another step forward as I take one backward. You've been denied choice over and over, yet still believed to be free. Another step, this time faster, forcing me to retreat once more. I don't understand what you're talking about. My voice trembles slightly as fear creeps up my spine. My back bumps into the cold cave wall, freezing the blood in my veins and stopping my retreat. Or do you just refuse to accept it, Alice? Do you enjoy being controlled like a puppet? Another step forward. We are so close now, almost touching. I try to lean back to gain some distance, but I'm trapped. The wall is solid against my shoulders. I press my palms to the stone behind me. My heart thunders in my chest, threatening to burst my ribcage at any moment. A manic grin spreads across her lips, and a twinkle that's a bit too sinister to be friendly appears in her blood-red eyes. A shiver runs down my spine. Evil, mad. I knew it! All rabbits are dangerous, and this one is also insane. But at that same time, her words spark something within me, an anger, an urge, a desire, a need to fight back and prove myself stronger. I'm nobody's puppet. Don't you want to be truly free, to decide your own fate, to cut down the strings that bind you, walk your own path, and forge your future with your own two hands? The voice, gentle and melodic, reverberates throughout the cavern, echoing through my very being. Each syllable vibrates with power, resonating with my soul. Her gaze bores into mine, holding me prisoner to those hypnotic scarlet irises of hers. I can almost feel it, tugging at me, pulling me towards it. What do you want me to do? My voice sounds strained as I speak. Is it because of fear? Anticipation? Both? Lucienne lets out a giggle at my question. I swear her cheeks must hurt by now with how hard she is gritting. She holds out her hand, palm up as if an invitation, beckoning me to grasp it. I need you to join me, Alice, she replies with absolute conviction in her tone, her siren call reaching straight for the very core of my being, causing my chest to ache in longing for what lies beyond. I need you to help me kill a god. So, there's plenty of stuff in here that's fine. The actual writing competency is notably high, I would say, for what I've experienced in the Royal Road.
It gets a bit too purple.
It gets very purple. That's actually the main complaint I have here. Is this was like 3,500 words to accomplish very little.
Yeah, as for in the first rubber chapter, it skips 18 hours back. And then the lit RPG stuff with the system comes in chapter 4, and like I would say about 1/3 or 1/5 of chapter 4 is just lit RPG system readouts.
Oof. So the intent here had to have been to provoke curiosity in the reader by establishing things and then trying and hoping that you're going to ask questions about things like, who's the magic sky god? Which I'm gonna take a guess she was responding to the system messages. You're supposed to ask, who are these fanatics? Why does she have a trauma about rabbits? So I'm getting the impression that Alice is human, and yet the blurb implied that she would be a rabbit.
She's an elf.
She's an elf. Close enough. I am very put off when the
Could be too. I
blurb
mean,
and the story seem to contradict each other because it feels like false advertising.
actually, no. The blurb doesn't imply that she's human. Read it again.
No, the blurb implies that she's a rabbit.
No, yeah, right. It doesn't imply the main character is a rabbit. It's from Alice's perspective.
It's hard to be a tank when you're the most fragile around. Harebringer. The cover art is a rabbit, like not even like an anthropomorphic rabbit, a rabbit.
Yeah,
Rabbit.
no. What I mean is that the blurb about greatest need, save it from the shadows, etc. That if you read that from Alice's perspective, it makes sense. It's basically a summary of the first chapter, more or less, of the prologue.
Why would an elf be more fragile than a rabbit?
Because, haha, funny, small berserker. It's a web novel, don't question it.
Okay. Okay. So honestly, if this entire intro had been established in 1,000
Okay, no, to be
words,
fair,
I would actually say this would be really
no,
good if it was like half the length.
yeah, actually, yeah, about like half, 2/3 the length, it would be the best, like condensed down. But
And
going
honestly,
back,
if
I'm gonna go back on the haha funny small berserker thing. It's a little RPG. You can't really you can't really put um um base physical size as the default
and
when you're
that's one of the
working
many
with.
reasons I don't write lit RPG.
Yeah, I mean, really, in lit RPG, one of the easiest ways to justify any character design doing anything is
I guess, but unless you have the ability to read stat sheets, there's no way to look at a character and go, "Oh, I can take this fight."
usually there. I mean, yeah, usually there's a basic like usually there's a basic accessible appraisal thing, like the same thing you would do when you target someone in a game and you see their basic stats.
Yeah, I hate interrupting stories. I would rather just in the story convey the level of relative threat. Rather than expecting my audience to sit down with a calculator and go, oh, well, you see, the levels might be different here, but Alice has superior speed, therefore she's certain to win. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's my personal issue. Even when I wrote,
from the little RPGs I've read, usually the ones I like are those that don't um don't system wank, so to speak. Like they don't use the system at every opportunity. Like instead of going, this character has these stats and just dumping the whole sheet on you, but instead just having the character actually like glance at someone and basically evaluate their combat strength the same way they would in a non-lit RPG setting, just using stats instead of looking how someone might be buff or how someone might look defined by the light, that sort of thing.
dude, one of these days I gotta do a piss take lit RPG where everyone is fully aware that the higher level the armor, the less it covers. I gotta do that someday.
That's weird. I don't think I've read one with that, with like bikini armor.
Well, it would be a difficult thing to do to simultaneously be trying to treat it like seriously enough that you can buy into the characters actually acting seriously and not just setting up jokes, but you also need to do it tongue-in-cheek kind of deal. By the way, the entire time that I was reading this, the back of my head was stuck on Shangri-La Frontier. Are you watching that this season?
That's what fucking hell. That's what it was. It was reminding me of the Rabbit NPC.
Yeah, like, for the record, It's a fantastic anime. It's like a shockingly good anime for one of the stupidest concepts that's just playing straight. And yeah, it's like the first thing that happens is he gets a weird rabbit girl companion. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is like 10 out of 10 trend chasing right here because the rabbit's a lot of fun.
It's timely. It's if nothing else, it's timely, and yeah, the writing is good. It just gets too dense in places.
Alright, so I think we don't need to beat this up sufficiently because I'm going to link the story in the description. And if Lit RPG is your thing with bunny girls, then you should go check it out. Or if you don't want to do that, you can check out, we'll have our links in the description as well. So thank you very much for coming on and giving your 2 cents on this. Basically, I think this did a lot right, it just didn't do it fast enough.
Fair. I would say that's fair.
Alright. YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe. Look at this. Why is that not? You need to be on top. I made a thing. You should also buy my sci-fi book.